Hi, we're sitting in Cannes, and I'm super excited to be here with Gerardo Soto, who's the VP of Sports and Media for Lowe's. We're going to be having a great conversation about how Lowe's uses media, sports, creators, and loyalty to move consumers from inspiration to action. Ready to jump in?
Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
I'm excited to have the convo. I think it's going to be great. I want to start a little bit broad, though. So you guys sit in an interesting category because home improvement is emotional. It's practical and seasonal all at the same time. So how do you think about your broader marketing mix? What role does media play in creating the demand versus capturing demand?
Love the question. Yeah, you're right. It's a category that's very practical for sure, right? People are focused on their projects at home. They want to make sure that they have all the things that they need. But at the same time, we have to build affinity with the brand beyond just a transaction. And so our media mix actually supports that brand building opportunity. Lowe's has become a synonym of help. That's what we stand for, right? We are the most helpful home improvement brand, and people recognize that. And we are very proud of that fact. And the fact that people now think of Lowe's as, hey, I want to do this. I know where I can go because that's where I'll get the help. I'll get the direction. I'll get the inspiration so that I can accomplish it. It doesn't matter if it's for spring or if it's for the holidays. You're going to get the help that you need. And that's really what we stand for. But then we also want to capture that demand, right? And so that's where our channel mix allows us to do more of that demand capture when the moment is right and the customer is ready to purchase.
Got it. That's great. So it's a bit of like the messaging and what you stand for around help and inspiration, and then the channel allows you to get a little bit more granular to capture that demand.
Absolutely. It's all about being present in the right moment with an upper funnel message that drives that affinity to the brand. But then when customers are ready to make their purchase, when they're searching online, when they're looking at ways to execute their projects, we want to show up in the right places for them so that they can get the products that they need.
Absolutely. Okay, let's go take a shift into sports because you guys have built major sports partnerships across a portfolio of different properties like the NFL, soccer, basketball, World Cup related moments. How do you decide which cultural platforms are right for the Lowe's brand?
Well, it starts with the audience. We look at where our customers are and our future customers are. And so the NFL provides just an incredible platform because it's obviously the most engaged sports in the US, right, with the largest audience. And it's an audience that goes from very young consumers all the way to older consumers. We really want to talk to everybody. Mm-hmm. And watching sports has become truly a group situation. So think about you are going to invite your family over, you're going to have lunch, you're going to have dinner, and you're going to be watching the game together. So it becomes multi-generational from that aspect, which we love. But then you move into other properties like soccer, same situation happens, but it's a different audience, right? Mm-hmm. So it enables us to go from a very broad audience with the NFL that is focused on the largest sport in the US to now a growing sport with soccer, for example, where we know that the overlap of those two audiences allows us to actually acquire more customers, right? And be visible in front of an audience that's more diverse, that's multicultural, that's younger as well. And that gives us an opportunity to amplify our message across all of these different audiences. And so we love that sports gives us that. Live sports, again, brings people together. And we are just looking at showing in authentic ways for those customers.
It really does. And it's, one of the last ways to really capture that real-time live experience, right?
Absolutely.
So it's amazing and super important, but only if it makes sense for your brand. And I like the way you described your future customer, right? So not only the folks you're already capturing, but how do you continue to expand and build a connection with more folks?
Absolutely.
So then I guess taking that a step further, how do you make that sports partnership more than just reach? How do you make it an emotional connection? How do you tie it to the seasonality and the ability to connect to loyalty?
So us being in home improvement, we're not necessarily a sports endemic brand, right? So that is a bit of the challenge because you want to show up in those moments in a way that's authentic to the sport, and so we got to look at our consumer insights very deeply to understand what would drive that consumer to think about Lowe's in a particular moment. And so I'll give you a great example of some insights that are driving our campaigns. For example, Earn Your Sunday with the NFL. We really looked at the insight from what do you do before you watch a game on Sunday, right? And the big games are usually happening on Sunday. And people want to get their homes ready. They want to make sure that everything is that their checklist has been checked off,
Yep.
right? That there's no more to do, so that you can actually sit down and relax and enjoy the game with your loved ones. And when you think about the parallel with the NFL, that's also what the players are doing. The players are training hard every day of the week in order to get to this Sunday game, which is going to be televised nationally, which is going to be one of the most important games of the week, and they want to go earn it, right? And so that was the parallel that we looked at, and it's resonated incredibly well with our consumers because they're like, oh yeah, I get this, right? Like
Yeah.
I cannot have this
real.
checklist and be sitting down watching TV. So
Yeah.
Lowe's is going to help me get through all of that so that I can enjoy the game.
I love that. I love that, especially because from a personal perspective, that is my husband. Every Saturday, his checklist is super long. He's doing all kinds of projects all over the house. And he then earns the right to then relax, right?
Exactly.
So that is so
Exactly.
true.
And we want to help you do that.
That's right.
That's what Lowe's is there for. So
That's right.
we'll get the products, we'll get you any services that you need, and we'll give you the inspiration, plus we'll give you all the tips so that you can actually get it done.
Yeah, and it's right on with your brand, helping.
Exactly.
Right. That's great. Okay, why don't you talk a little bit about the Messi campaign and tapping into this huge global soccer moment? You mentioned this, expanding into new audiences. But I love like the yard displays, the fandom, the watch parties. How do you make sure like that campaign feels authentic? And you want to share a little bit more about what that is?
Absolutely. So we knew that soccer was a growing sport in the U.S. And when we learned that Messi was coming, we just knew that it was going to explode from a fandom perspective, from an audience perspective. So we absolutely wanted to take that opportunity to show up in a big way and make a splash in the sport. And again, as I mentioned before, soccer gives us an audience that's very differentiated from the NFL, where it's more young, it's more diverse, multicultural. And I think I don't have to tell the story of what Messi has achieved from expanding that soccer audience.
True.
And I say Messi achieved it because he really did push for that. So it enabled us to think about a different way to bring those new customers who may not have thought of Lowe's to now start thinking through that passion that drives fandom in soccer. And we said, what's the number one thing that people feel towards Messi? And that's loyalty. If you think about Messi, he was at Barcelona for a very long time and built that loyalty base. He moved to Paris Saint-Germain, and he was there as well. And people followed him, not because of the team necessarily, but because of him playing there. And now he's at Inter Miami, and those fans just followed him. So he is synonymous with loyalty. And that's why our campaigns are tied to our loyalty members. And it enables us to give our members more, right, through our loyalty program.
That's right.
And so if you're a Lowe's, My Lowe's Rewards member, every campaign is going to be geared towards you. And you're going to get more things through all of the different activations, the different moments that we're creating with Messi.
That's awesome. Because I think that's really cool that you took an asset like Messi. We're able to tap into the broader loyalty theme, more brand awareness, higher level, but then also tie it to the Milo's rewards, lower funnel, driving them into your program. And like you said, it makes total sense that they're going to get better rewards. That's another reason why they would want to lean in.
100%.
It all works great together, right?
Yeah, it brings them back. And once you've been able to engage with the customers and truly demonstrate how you're offering them more, then customers stick, right? And that's really what the whole flywheel of loyalty is, making sure that they're seeing the value in what Lowe's has to offer, so they want to come back to us. And we've seen that prove out time and again.
That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. They need to see the value. They need to be seen, and they need to be given that reason to come back. So that's great. I wanted to ask you about your creator and influencer program. You've got a great partnership with Mr. Beast that I think is targeted more towards the kid side of things.
Mm-hmm.
How do you leverage creators and influencers to balance out your broader strategy, like your platforms with sports?
I think the creator movement is one that obviously everybody's talking about right now, but it has a true purpose and it has true impact. Primarily when you think about the younger generations that we want to go after as customers, right? Millennials, Gen Zers, who are now the homeowners and who are now going through all of these projects on an ongoing basis, they're more engaged through creators. They're more engaged on social media. And so the opportunity for us to show up authentically with the people who they already trust is what made this creator network be such an important pillar of our current strategy from a media perspective. And within the creator environment, you have obviously brand building creators. Mr. Beast, for example, it's important for us to leverage Mr. Beast to reach those audiences that tend to be younger. And then there's the commerce side of things, right? And then you see the mid-size and micro creators that are actually those who drive a lot of the commerce, because it becomes local, it becomes the person that you trust based on the interests that you have. And so they're actually driving the majority of the commerce for us. So it's a balance of how you leverage creators in the upper funnel, but then bring it all the way down to actually performance.
That's absolutely right. I think the stat was like 70% of Gen Z bought something because they saw it in their social.
Absolutely.
And we see on our platform when our partners bring their creator assets into it, that it's skyrockets the performance. So like to your point, it's upper funnel, but it's also driving that actual sale or action.
Yeah. And again, it's that trusted person, right?
That's
that
right.
They probably have never met, but
That's right.
Because they bring that authenticity to what they're producing, right? In our case, home improvement projects, you're going to see those projects come to life in a way that attract you, that inspire you, right? And that's why we love the fact that there's such a variety of creators where you can look at a modern style versus a more traditional style. And whatever you choose, that is the opportunity that you have to actually define your style and then go look for it at Lowe's and build it for yourself. And that's the authenticity, the credibility, and trust that creators bring.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for home improvement because we all need a little motivation in that work.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, we're going to close it out soon. How about just give us a little inspiration when you think about the future of retail marketing? What does it look like for a brand like Lowe's?
It's I would say retail marketing is ever evolving, and a brand like Lowe's needs to stay ahead of those trends. We actually need to be creating some of those trends. We need to be partnering with all of our different media partners, again, with creators, sports properties, to make sure that we're staying ahead of that wave and actually riding it so that we are delivering value for the organization. But I would say most importantly, that we are there to meet our consumers where they are in the moment that they are.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.